Good evening, and welcome to our daily devotional reading. Let's all just take a sip of warm tea. Open our hearts. Open our minds. Brace ourselves, for Socrates is dying. And let's listen to Plato. When he, Socrates, had done speaking, Crito said, "And have you any commands for us, Socrates? Anything to say about your children or any other matter in which we can serve you?" "Nothing particular, Crito," he replied. "Only, as I have always told you, take care for yourselves. That is a service which you may be ever rendering to me and mine and to all of us, whether you promise to do so or not. But if you have no thought for yourselves, and care not to walk according to the rule which I have prescribed to you, not now for the first time, however much you may profess or promise at the moment, it will be of no avail." "We will do our best," said Crito. "And in what way shall we bury you?" "In any way that you like, but you must get hold of me and take care that I do not run away from you." Then he turned to us and added with a smile, "I cannot make Crito believe that I am the same Socrates who have been talking and conducting the argument. He fancies that I am the other Socrates, whom he will soon see a dead body, and he asks, how shall he bury me? And though I have spoken many words in the endeavor to show that when I have drunk the poison, I shall leave you and go to the joys of the blessed, these words of mine, with which I was comforting you and myself, have had, as I perceive, no effect upon Crito. And therefore I want you to be a surety for me to him now, as at the trial he was surety to the judges for me. But let the promise be of another sort, for he was surety for me to the judges that I would remain, and you must be my surety to him that I shall not remain, but go away and depart. And then he will suffer less at my death, and not be grieved when he sees my body being burned or buried. I would not have him sorrow at my hard lot, or say at the burial, thus we lay Socrates, or thus we follow him to the grave or bury him. For false words are not only evil in themselves, but they infect the soul with evil. Be of good cheer then, my dear Crito, and say that you are burying my body only, and do with that whatever is usual, and what you think best." When he had spoken these words, he arose and went into a chamber to bathe. Crito followed him and told us to wait, so we remained behind, talking and thinking of the subject of discourse, and also of the greatness of our sorrow. He was like a father of whom we were being bereaved, and we were about to pass the rest of our lives as orphans. When he had taken the bath, his children were brought to him. He had 2 young sons and 1 elder one, and the women of his family also came, and he talked to them and gave them a few directions in the presence of Crito. Then he dismissed them and returned to us. Now the hour of sunset was near, for a good deal of time had passed while he was within. While he came out, he sat down with us again after his bath, but not much was said. Soon the jailer, who was the servant of the 11, entered and stood by him, saying, "To you, Socrates, whom I know to be the noblest and gentlest and best of all who ever came to this place, I will not impute the angry feelings of other men who rage and swear at me when, in obedience to the authorities, I bid them drink the poison. Indeed, I am sure that you will not be angry with me. For others, as you are aware, are not I, are to blame. And so fare you well, and try to bear lightly what must needs be. You know my errand." Then the jailer, bursting into tears, turned away and went out. Oops. Socrates looked at him and said, "I return your good wishes and will do as you bid." Then turning to us, he said, "How charming the man is. Since I have been in prison, he has always been coming to see me. And at times, he would talk to me. And was as good to me as could be. And now see how generously he sorrows on my account. We must do as he says, Crito, and therefore let the cup be brought, if the poison is prepared. If not, let the attendant prepare some." "Yet," said Crito, "the sun is still upon the hilltops, and I know that many a one has taken the draught late, and after the announcement has been made to him. He has eaten and drunk and enjoyed the society of his beloved. Do not hurry. There is time enough." Socrates said, "Yes, Crito, and they of whom you speak are right in so acting, for they think that they will be gainers by the delay. But I am right in not following their example. For I do not think that I should gain anything by drinking the poison a little later. I should only be ridiculous in my own eyes for sparing and saving a life which has already forfeit. Please then to do as I say, and do not refuse me." Crito made a sign to the servant who was standing by, and he went out, and having been absent for some time, returned with the jailer carrying the cup of poison. Socrates said, "You, my good friend, who are experienced in these matters, shall give me directions how I am to proceed." The man answered, "You have only to walk about until your legs are heavy, and then to lie down, and the poison will act." At the same time he handed the cup to Socrates, who, in the easiest and gentlest manner, without the least fear or change of colour or feature, looking at the man with all his eyes, he, as his manner was, took the cup and said, "What do you say about making a libation out of the cup to any god? May I or not?" The man answered, "We only prepare, Socrates, just so much as we deem enough." "I understand," he said, "but I may and must ask the gods to prosper my journey from this to the other world. Even so, and so be it according to my prayer. Then raising the cup to his lips, quite readily and cheerfully he drank off the poison. And hitherto most of us had been able to control our sorrow. But now when we saw him drinking, and saw too that he had finished the draught, we could no longer forbear. And in spite of myself, my own tears were flowing fast. So that I covered my face and wept, not for him, but at the thought of my own calamity. In having to part with such a friend. Nor was I the first, for Crito, when he found himself unable to restrain his tears, had got up and followed, and at that moment Apollodorus, who had been weeping all the time, broke out in a loud and passionate cry which made cowards of us all. Socrates alone retained his calmness. "What is the strange outcry?" he said. "I send away the woman mainly in order that they might not misbehave in this way, for I have been told that a man should die in peace. Be quiet then, and have patience." When we heard his words, we were ashamed and restrained our tears. And he walked about until, as he said, his legs began to fail. And then he lay on his back. According to the directions. And the man who gave him the poison now and then looked at his feet and legs, and after a while he pressed his foot hard and asked him if he could feel, and he said no. And then his leg, and so upward and upwards, and showed us that he was cold and stiff. And he felt them himself and said, "When the poison reaches the heart, that will be the end." It was beginning to grow cold about the groin when he uncovered his face, for he had covered himself up, and said, they were his last words. He said, "Crito, I owe a cock to Asclepius, the god of healing. Will you remember to pay the debt?" "The debt shall be paid," said Crito. "Is there anything else?" There was no answer to this question. But in a minute or two, a movement was heard, and the attendants uncovered him. His eyes were set, and Crito closed his eyes and his mouth. Such was the end, of our friend. Concerning whom I may truly say that of all the men of his time whom I have known, he was the wisest and justest and the best. Thus far our scripture of the evening. I was hesitant to close the page that I was reading because I've written there, copied there, a poem by a member from our monastery, and I want to end with that. Last time when I wanted to read the poem, I accidentally pressed stop. I do strange things all the time, and I have no editing skill. When Sarah visits, hopefully in June, maybe I'll ask her to show me a thing or two. She's very good with these things. Sorry. I didn't write down much. If it is at all possible, then let this cup pass me by. Yet not my will, but thy will be done. Of course, the words had to come to me when he said, let the cup be brought. And when he said, try to bear lightly what must needs be. Try to bear lightly what must needs be. I should have had a tissue with me. Amor fati, of course, came to mind. Joe posted something about Amor fati today. Love thy fate. I don't know if this is true what I'm about to say, so I'm going to give a very long intro. I have a good friend who might be listening to this, Ryan. A very deeply beloved friend, who I've recently said something to. He was also involved. See, that's the connections, 1,000 connections in the mind. With a philosophical fellowship that we did at the Viveki Foundation once. And I prepared, but I don't think I got to read both. I prepared in case they needed another lead, and I don't think I was required. 2 complementing passages. This one, where Socrates dies, or maybe another one. I think I chose something from Crito. Well, this would have been better. And the passage in Gethsemane. The death of the sage. And I am of the opinion that though both Socrates and Jesus died and is gone, as far as they themselves are concerned. But of course, the song that they created, the song that they sang or played with their instrument, lives on. I'm not sure that it always lives on in ways that they would approve of. But that is a whole different conversation, at least as far as Jesus is concerned. We can look into that. We can make it maybe one of our aims here at the imaginary monastery, seeing if would Socrates have approved of this. Of us evoking him in this manner. Kindly remind me of this if I should forget it in the future, to ask if Socrates would have approved of how we are evoking him. But what I said to Ryan, because as I've said, the whole idea of fate lays very heavy on me, always has. And I haven't really read many of the Greek tragedies, but my idea of fate is closer to that than romantic comedies. The idea of fate in romantic comedies. Like, oh, you're fated to meet the love of your life and you will ride off into the sunset with the love of your life and a pirate in the making because he has managed to avenge his father, and a giant who will probably assist him. That would have been awesome if that was the case, but that's not my idea of fate. My idea of fate is the Greek tragedies. And in a way, everyone lives a tragedy. There's no happy ending. The mere fact of ending is not very happy. You can fight it, or you can embrace it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the romantic comedies are right. This is the one time that I will probably rather bet on myself than the one I oppose. And maybe if your tragedy is great enough, your song will be sung. Long after you are gone. Okay, let's see if I manage to not screw this up. A poem by a member of our imaginary monastery, Marco. Plato lives, he calls it. And it seems it's number 28. Where do I stress when I'm resting? Are you tired? In my rest, are you truly at your best? And in your coating, I'm decoding the pharaohs of our time, in the worry of the passion and its crime. I'm alive. The meter is a healing drought, and ripe I am with thought to know you well, and so the depths. But you must live too. Then live, begotten. Amidst a middle evening run, I feel the wind upon my face. Forms that kiss your flawless cheeks. May the spirit of Sophia be with you.